Hello you lot, look what we got on the bench. This is the Savage SS, the one that I've been, it's a small project, nothing too major, nothing too extraordinary, but I've just been playing around with it, just having a bit of fun with it basically. Stuck a new engine in it, stuck the ZR32 Spec 4 from LRP, stuck one of those in there, got a Hongnor exhaust, we'll go through it in a bit. But one of the problems that I had when I was messing around trying to put the bigger engine in there and the exhaust to match was the suspension. As you can see there, I've had to take one of the suspension shocks out completely. So let's have a look at that, see if we can remedy that in this video. So I'll take this shell off here. Let's take the shell off, that's it, like that. And we can see I had to remove, because there's no point in having a bigger engine with a bigger exhaust port if you've got the small, a smaller manifold to go on it, because all you're doing is all the extra airflow you're getting coming out is being restricted with a smaller, thinner, less diameter manifold. So I had to find the biggest one I could possibly find anywhere, and quite an old school Hongnor one. I forget the exact model now. It's like 812 or something or another. It's made by Hongnor, and it's the biggest bore exhaust and manifold that I could possibly find, and people that are very, very experienced in old school stuff, more than me, recommended that exhaust. So that's what I found. But the trouble was, in order to get it to go around, I had to remove one of the shocks. So we're supposed to have two, like this one here, but I had to remove one. Now that means that the back suspension is ever so slightly, it's just saggy now, because we've got one shock trying to do the job of two. So I went and had a little look around, and I managed to find a packet of brand spanking new Savage big bore shocks. These are original, genuine HPI big bore shocks, 4 of them, one for each corner, and I got them from rcspares.com. Don't think I've ever got anything from, I probably have, but not consciously. Don't really tend to go to that places, but I've got RC Spares stuff here. These are taken off of a brand new, don't know what come off, probably a Savage X or something like that, but they say they come off brand new models, so they must literally buy brand new models and just strip them down and sell the parts, and I suppose that must be a lucrative business. Either way, this is going to work quite well, because the shocks on my other Savage, my original Savage 21 here, and the front ones, they're a bit stiff. They could do with, it's very squeaky, they could do with some new shock oil, but I bent one at the back there. You can probably see the one at the back there's a little bit curvy. You can probably see that there where it's bent. Now I was going to straighten that out and do some stuff with it, but seeing as I'm now going to have a whole set, because I've still got that one in a box somewhere, I'm now going to have a whole set of perfectly good, working very well shocks. I'm literally going to put the big bore ones on here and put these on the other Savage. So this is going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So let's take these shocks off, put these ones on, and see what we end up with, shall we? So there we go, in position as you always are there. Now I need, is it that one? Yes. So I've got to take this one out. Oh, need the bloody whatchamacallit for the other side. I'm going to have to get a spanner for that. Bear with me, I'll just go and get a spanner. It's actually a Friday today, which is because I've been on holiday. Been on a holiday for the week. Treated the family to a little holiday. We went to a place called Butlins. Bought it last year. It was quite good. But it's a Friday. I only got home this morning. So because I've got to be a little bit more careful now, because we got those new neighbours next door. I think I told you about before. He's always been a bit strange. The bloke next door has always been a bit odd ever since they turned up. But he moaned about the noise the other day, and I'd rather just get on with people. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to argue with anybody. So, but today's a Friday, and it's during the daytime. It's about 1:30 now in the afternoon. So they're all at work and everything. So I can fire the other Savage up. I was going to start it up the other day, but I never got round to it. So let's take this shock off here. We can yeah, it's weird having neighbours that are a bit fussy. I've never had that before. Normally everyone just gets on and does whatever they want to do, and we all just, you know, live with each other. But he's not like that. He's a bit fussy. So right, now we're taking the front corner off. We can open up our bag, and we can. This is. It doesn't matter what one goes where. I don't think. Brand spanking new big bore shock. So it's got some. They call those preload, whatever you want to call them. I don't know. On there with oil. They've got oil in them, already oiled up. So we'll stick it. We'll stick it on the. I don't really know if they get meant to go on the inside or the outside, but I'm going to put them on the outside. Have we got screws? It come with screws. Don't think it does come with screws, so we'll have to take a screw off. What I should do really is have a look on like a newer Savage, like a Savage X or something, and see whether they're mounted on the outside or on the inside. But it doesn't matter, I don't think. We'll work that out. Probably have to adjust it for my own preference and decide how I like it. I've got a funny feeling they'll be mounted on the outside. I can't see them being mounted on the inside. That would be a bit strange, wouldn't it? So let's do this screw up. A Minion's just arrived. Let's do that up. And we turn that around that way. It can go on there like that. That bolt can go through there. And what did you just put in the bin, you? Little Minion's got a habit of putting everything in the bin. Everything. We've lost the television remote at the moment. I mean, I think a ghost has taken it, to be honest. Literally, we come back off our little holiday, and the TV remote's just missing, completely missing. We've been blaming the little Minion, because he likes to hide stuff everywhere. But I kind of wonder, and I think to myself, I bet it's the ghost, because we've got several ghosts in our home. They like to wander around and cause mischief now and again. And I reckon that one of them has decided to take the TV remote and put it somewhere. That's what I reckon. But, we won't know, will we? Do you reckon it was the ghost, Minion? Yeah. Yeah, he said it was the ghost as well. So we haven't got a TV remote, so we've got no television. Because we've got one of these bloody modern TVs, we've got no buttons on them. No buttons on the actual television itself, so you can't turn the TV on or change the channels with the buttons on the bloody TV. If you haven't got a remote, you ain't got a TV, which I think is stupid, but that's the way the modern world goes these days. Modern world, modern bloody world. I don't know why people can't just leave things alone, you know, and just have things that work as they are. Anyway, let's take that off of there. Right, so we won't have that screw. That's a shock there. That's a screw. Gonna have to switch this around in a minute.
Dad.
Hello, Minion.
Papa.
A screwdriver?
Yeah, little one.
A little one?
Yeah.
Alright, well I'll get you one in a second. So what have you lot been up to then? Anything nice this week? Been up to anything good? Hope you have. It's been a lovely week. We're down where we live, in the south of England, the weather has been absolutely brilliant. Not a single drop of rain or anything. Right, let me just get this off, go and get the Minion a screwdriver, I'll be back with you. Alright, sometimes the screws get stuck in these little things, these little bushings here. So you just have to hold them with a pair of pliers. I like to use long nose pliers because I think it's easier. And then you can take the screw out, and then you can just get your shock back like that, and just pop it back in the bottom there like that. That works quite well. I've got to do that with the other screw as well. Anyway, let's get another one of these shocks out. Tell you what, so you haven't got to be bored with me just chatting rubbish through the whole thing. We'll speed this up a bit, shall we? See you in a minute. Well, there we go, look. Now we got fully working suspension. I haven't got to worry about the manifold or nothing there now. I might have to adjust it slightly. It might be slightly too high for my liking. Might have to, yeah, I think we'll take one of those off. I'll have to do the same for the back. We'll see. Take one of those off. There we go. Now my axles or wishbones, whatever you want to call them, they're level now. Do that and they stay level now. We're not jacked right up in the air. What's the back like? The back, that's not too bad because we've got a little bit more weight on the back. We've got the engine and the fuel tank and everything like that. That is actually pretty flush. So we'll take one off and see what it ends up like. You can always put it back on again, obviously. So it's not like a permanent thing. It's just little, I don't know what you want to call them. You call them preload things or whatever. Actually, I'd say that's pretty good. Like that. I think I'll leave it like that for now. In this bag, there's thinner ones. So you haven't got to have the great big thick ones. You can have thinner ones. There's also some other bits and bobs that it came with, which I'll just put in the little parts drawer. There's a really thin one there. If I wanted to do a fine adjustment, I'll just put that in the parts drawer. And that will be that. But now I've got all of these old ones, which I'm gonna, looks like they've been leaking oil ever so slightly, but they still work perfectly well. Don't forget they are over 20 years old. We'll take the other ones off the other Savage, switch them over, and we'll have two Savages with full working suspension. Now this Savage this SS, as it's actually fully working. It's been sort of partially working for many months now because of the suspension. I hadn't gotten around to actually putting these big bore shocks on it, and we've had lopsided suspension for ages. Every time I go to drive it, it just goes beep, you know. But now we've got fully working suspension. We're missing a couple of nuts and bolts and a few screws here and there that I'll need to replace. I'll do that in due time. Everything else is absolutely brilliant. So that's that one. Let's get the other Savage on the bench and switch over the suspension while we're in the flow of it, while we're in the suspension mood. But I have got to try and find the other shock. Don't know what I've done with it. It is somewhere. I'll have to try and find that. I don't know whether I want to keep the blue springs on them or if I will put the red springs on these shocks. What do you lot think? Don't know. I might change them over to blue, you know, because they're red on the other one. I might just literally bolt these straight on as they are with the blue springs and mix it up a bit. Anyway, I can always change it over at a later date if I fancy going back to red. There we go. Look at that. That is absolutely fantastic. I think that's a massive improvement. I must say, I always have, and I still do, alright? I still do like the twin shocks on each corner, yeah? I've always liked that. That's what's always drawn me to Savages. And when they changed them to just a single shock, a big bore single shock, I was disappointed. I was like, why have they done this, man? It looked really cool with the twin shocks on each corner. But then, you know, these are more practical for this sort of thing because I've got my manifold coming around now. I can't run the twin shocks. So these big bore single ones are actually really handy, and it's a good job that they actually decided to do it because, well, it's helped me do this. So I know I like the look of it, and I think it's a good modification. It's a good addition to this truck, but I do wish that I was still able to run the twin shocks. But that's fine, you know. Sometimes you have to do things. If you want one thing to work, which in this case I want this engine to work with this manifold because I want the best performance I can possibly get out of this engine, and you've got to have the airflow, you've got to have the diameter, you know. So that's what'll happen, and I think it looks pretty cool, man. I don't think it looks bad at all. The big bore shocks actually do look pretty sweet. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. So I was just rummaging around in my toolbox. I've got a toolbox which has got parts for all bits and bobs, Savages and whatnot else. I found the other shock. It's got S-Works written on that for some reason, but it's not S-Works. It's Savage. It's all Savage parts. This is the original manifold. See, it's a lot. Yeah, I can't show you because I've got to take the other one apart to show you. But that you can see just by looking at it is a lot less. It's smaller in diameter, you know. So that's no good. That's the original Savage exhaust. And here is the other shock that I took off all them months ago when I put the other engine on. So we'll put that down there with them shocks. But I've got a packet here of purple springs. So I've got a choice. I can either stick with the red, which is on the Savage 21, a standard. It's been on there for the past 20 years or more. Or these blue ones, which are on the shocks already. Or I could change them for these purple ones. They look brand new. I don't think they've ever been used. I don't know, I can't decide for the time being. But I will decide in a minute because I'm not going to hang around forever. I don't like hanging around and... What do you Americans call it? Procrastinating, isn't it? You'll call it procrastinating. I've been procrastinating, yes. No, none of that procrastination stuff with me, thank you very much. Right, let's put all this away, get the Savage on the bench and get these shocks changed over. Alright, now this one, this is, as I've said many times, this is my original Savage 21, which I got back when they first came out. It was around about the year 2001 or 2002, I think, somewhere around there. And I've never, ever done anything to this. I mean, we've got one of them missing there. But then in the last, let's say, I don't know, it must have been around about 2010, I suppose. I'm not really sure, but the K4.6 came out. The K4.6 was released by HPI, and when this was no, it's loose. Was it loose? I don't know, it's loose. Anyway, when this K4.6 was released, I went into my model shop of choice, which was back then. There was model shops there must have been 4 or 5 near me, and it was called Heath's RC Models, and I went in there and they had one in the glass cabinet. And it was the 4.6. It had an exhaust with it. It had a clutch on it, a bell end on it, a carburetor, and everything ready to rock and roll. I had the pull start on it, and I said, "Oh, how much is that?" He said, £120. I said, "I'll have it." And I bought the K4.6 for £120, straight out the glass cabinet in the model shop. And that really was the first ever piece of modification that I ever did to this. And this was around 2010-ish. 2010, 2011, somewhere around that sort of time. Some of you geeks out there will know when the K4.6 was released, and I know that it was fairly new because I remember it being in the glass cabinet in the model shop, and he said this is the new engine from HPI. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't even know there was a K or a new engine released, and he said this is the new one by HPI. So I was like, oh right, and that's what got me intrigued in it. Anyway, after that, I put, well, probably about 2000. I've done it on the channel actually, so it must have been around about 2000 and, oh, let me think, 2000 and, actually, also in 2010, I put a 3-speed gearbox in it. The same time I bought this engine, I also bought a 3-speed gearbox, which has never worked. I've obviously built it wrong, because it only stays in 2 gears. It doesn't go into 3 gears. I think it's stuck in 2nd and 3rd, and it doesn't go back into 1st, but I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm going to say around about 2015 or 16, I randomly on eBay came across someone selling these purple axles and also the exhaust in like a bundle, second hand. So I bought them and I put them on this. But up until about 2015 or 16, everything was as it was. I had the plastic axles, you know. So I hadn't really done anything to this one. You know, I've still got the 21 engine here. Which is up on that shelf. I was going to get it down, but I think all the other engines might fall down as well. Hang on, see if I can make them all stay up. Oh, there we go. And that's the original Savage 21 engine that I've still got the one-way bearing on it. This was in this car now. It's been in this. It was in here right up until about 2010 or whenever the year was that I put this in it. And there's nothing wrong with it, man. It was running absolutely fine. Absolutely nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Anyway, let's get these shocks changed over, and you'll see. I haven't decided yet, but you'll see what I decide to do. Whether I decide to put these red ones on here, I dare say that they've got some sort of different, because they do look different. I think the red ones are probably going to, but the blue ones are probably going to be stiffer. Maybe, I'm not really sure, but probably is the case. Again, you geeks out there will know the answer. Anyway, let's get these changed over. So there we are. There's the old ones. There's that back one there that I think the screw came out of it and it dragged along the floor and it bent it. So that's that one. I'll probably straighten that rod out because that's the a lot of people think that's called a piston. It's not. That's a rod. The piston is inside the shock. That's the thing with the seal on it, what goes up and down. This is a rod. And the rod got bent, but I probably will refurbish these in the way of bend that rod back, put new shock oil in these, and that way I've got a whole refurbished set of shocks, spare ones. I've got the purple springs, spare springs, and I decided, as you've already seen, I put the blue ones, I just put them straight on, didn't do anything. So these have got good shock oil in them already, and they work really well. So now they've got this 21 now that's got good fully working suspension. The only thing I think it needs is a new steering servo, but I'll probably do that in a little while. There's going to be plenty of stuff coming up with these Savages. I'm going to do a little bit of maintenance to this 21 because it certainly needs it. It hasn't had a lot of it over the last 20 years. Haven't really done a lot of maintenance to it at all, to be fair. There's various screws missing here and there, and the engine, the plate that holds the engine on is loose. The engine is actually tight on the plate, but that plate is loose because it's missing quite a lot of screws. We've got cable ties holding bits together here and there, cable ties holding that together, because that's just the way that I roll, man. You bodge it up and you continue having some fun. Sort it out at a later date. But I haven't started this one up for quite some time, so let's get the old heater on this, and then we'll fire this one up, and then that'll be the end of the video. So let's get this one running. Hasn't been running for, oh man, I don't know, 5 maybe 6 months since this one last ran. I think it was the beginning of the summer when I last ran this one on that fresh piece of tarmac. So anyway, let's get the heater on it, get it fired up. There we go, got my engine heater linked up to my 12 volt car battery there, and this should hopefully fire up nicely in a minute. Don't know whether we've got any jelly. I've got an old tank on here, so we've got a primer on it. I don't think it does a lot though, to be honest. It's not really happening, is it? You have to give it a little bit of a helping hand, I think. It went in. Definitely went in. Where's that pull start? Alright. Let's see what she's gonna do. Oh, wire's come off. There we go, you lot. That engine actually runs so well, considering it's been drowned in numerous puddles. You know, dirty water has been, you know, it's probably full of rust inside there, but that engine runs absolutely mint. Can't fault that engine at all. Anyway, there we go, you lot. That's what that is. We've got now two Savages with fully working suspension. I do need to get, for this one, it does need a new battery in it really. The battery's seen better days, it's a bit weak, but it's alright. But it definitely needs a new steering servo. That's the throttle servo, the steering servo's over there. But it definitely needs a new steering servo. The throttle servo's alright, but the steering one's not so good. And also there's an issue somewhere where there's a lot of play in there. I think I did try to fix it and I made it better, but I think it's one of the screws has stripped out or something's happened. I can't quite remember now. But when it steers, there's a lot of play in the steering. So we probably will end up stripping some of this apart and repairing that so that this is a lot more usable. But I quite like just the ropiness of it. Do you know what I mean? I quite like the way that it's just ropey, you know. It's got worn bushes, it's got worn parts, you know, and it's held together with cable ties. I like that, man. That's my style, and I like that. So I don't want to rebuild it and repair it so much that it's absolutely perfect, because that's what the SS is for. You know, this Savage SS project is supposed to be, although it'll never be absolutely perfect and spot on, because, well, let's be honest, I own it, but this is meant to be like done properly, as kind of, and you know, just got all the screws and nuts and bolts in it. That's the point of this one. The other one is the ropey one. Anyway, you lot, thanks for being here. Remember, treat everybody equally, because everybody's the same. Doesn't matter who they are or where they're from in the country, in the world even. And just love life. It's almost Christmas. Christmas spirit's coming. I know it's only November. I don't think Christmas starts until December. But looking around, loads of people have got their Christmas decorations up, so it must be getting close. And if you want to see me rebuild them shocks, there'll probably be a video of that coming up soon. Catch you later on. Cheerio, you lot. All the best.